Good morning and good afternoon and maybe good evening to everybody who's joining. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we are presenting, as it says in the title, how to engage your prospects with more precision and get higher conversion rates. We're going to present ourselves.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Andrea Micolta. I am from Colombia. I am the key account manager for the Americas at noCRM. So I manage the English speaking and Spanish speaking market here in the Americas. And I specialize in helping people improve their sales process and manage their leads and prospects on noCRM.
And hi, everybody. My name is Jason Meyer. I'm sales manager for the UK market at Kaspr. We're a French, Paris-based company. So yes, I am in Paris right now, working from home, and we are a sales intelligence lead generation tool. We specialize in getting you contact information on your leads or prospects. And
Nice.
also, as a fun note, I am also Colombian, like Andrea, but I live here in Paris.
That's awesome.
So today, Kaspr is, as I mentioned earlier, a sales intelligence lead generation tool. We have access to over 500 million LinkedIn profiles, emails, and phone numbers.
And noCRM is in contact with around 11,000 salespeople all around the world. And as I mentioned before, we are a lead management tool. So it's a platform that allows you to manage leads and prospects and improve your sales process as well.
And with that being said, we are going to talk today about our experiences of both of us using and working with our own tools and how they merge together and will help you improve your prospecting and sales with two very modern and very different but complementary tools such as ours. Okay, so today we're going to start off by talking about having an effective sales plan. We can see here Danny DeVito from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, counting money because in sales, what you do is try to generate more revenue for your company. So when you build an effective sales process, it has several benefits, right? The idea is to do it to make it reproducible. So when you make a sales process reproducible, you establish a framework where you can follow and will always be a template for adding new teammates to your company. So you don't have to start from scratch. They have to follow the process, and that will help you both evolve and improve on the sales process.
That's right, and that's where noCRM comes in because you don't want to have only one salesperson that is your star. That's the person that is able to do all the closings, but you also want to reproduce this, as Jason mentioned before, with other members in the team. And that's why you want to make your sales process effective. You want to make it straightforward, that people know what happens in each of the steps, and that it makes sense for them, that they find the tool that they're managing their leads with useful as well. And that is the only way, in my opinion, that you can drive revenue up when using a sales tool as ours or as any tool.
So there's several problems that you will run into when building a sales process, right? You don't want to get stuck in making your sales team filling out endless box taking. What that means is if you put a lot of steps in the process itself, it will stymie their efforts. They will spend a lot of time and effort in specific and let's say manual tasks instead of getting into the nitty gritty, which is actually reaching out and prospecting.
That's right, Jason. Some of the problems that I see when I consult with many of my clients is that they want their tools to be almost a little, I would say, overwhelming for salespeople. They want their salespeople to register absolutely everything that they do, but then when you see exactly their sales process and how they envision the sales in their company, they might not understand that endless box ticking takes time away from driving the sales within their company. So we want to avoid over optimization, and we want them to be able to be their own agents by understanding their own sales process, but also understanding that they have the power to program their own tasks and go further with the needs of the client, and just make sure that they're not stuck in the process. You know, you don't want to drive away your sales by pitching straight away to the person that you're talking to. That's something that I'm going to talk about later down the presentation. But yes, that's what I think on the subject. If you can switch the slide for me, please. There we
So
go.
here we see the difference between marketing and sales. So basically, marketing will help you receive more inbound registrations, will create brand awareness, and will help you, let's say, um, define your ideal target in a more targeted way, right? I'm being redundant, but yes, that's how it will do it. Then on sales, we merge in the sense that we reach out and prospect or make your sales more outbound, not only relying on inbound sales or inbound prospecting or inbound leads, but also doing outbound prospecting.
Yes, and even though when you're doing outbound sales as well, you don't want to come off too strong and just trying to pitch straight away, as I mentioned before. If you have your salesperson already defined, the ideal thing that should happen when you are able to reach out to someone and communicate with them is that you first want to listen. You want to qualify your leads, not by attacking them with questions, but just trying to understand where they're at in your buyer's journey, right? And that's something that should be pivotal in your sales process, because when you are able to correctly qualify your leads, you're going to drive up the chance of actually closing that sale. So as we mentioned before in the first slides, you don't have a closing problem. You might have a qualifying problem, and that's something that we want to solve. We want to help you solve through Kaspr and through noCRM.
Let's continue, but you're right, Andrea. So some general tips and advice from our end. So beware of advice. So even though we are going to share a lot of information with you in terms of defining your ideal target and how to best reach out to them, you have to always keep in mind what works best for you, because most of the time, in experience really topples like any other thing that anybody can tell you. You know what works best for your business, you know what works best for your messaging, and you know how best to reach your ideal target.
That's right. Sometimes I don't know, Jason, if this has happened to you before, but when I'm trying to meet a new customer, they haven't used the tool before. They haven't used any tool, lead generation tool, lead management tool, and they come onto the meeting with me, and they want to make every process automatic. So they want to immediately be able to send thousands of emails. They want to immediately have a really structured marketing campaign, and they haven't even made the transition to any of the tools that they're looking to onboard on. So what you have afterwards is that they ignore their own experience, I would say, and they ignore what they've done before, what has worked for them. And when they try to actually open up to the new technologies that we have available, it ends up backfiring, and I end up having customers that churn. I think in many aspects, when I'm meeting with customers, I'm sure that you do as well, I'm trying to accommodate to their needs and trying to drive up the knowledge that they have and just complement it with the tool that we offer. And I'm sure that's something that people that are listening to us might relate to. So if you want to share to the next slide, we can continue talking a little bit further about this. And as I mentioned before, every step counts. So many people, when they're managing a sales process, they often believe that just by having the lead, you should be able to have an identified sales opportunity. And that's not often the case. If you haven't taken the time to review the way that you drive your customer through your sales process, you might be losing people throughout your sales process in itself. So I don't know, Jason, if you relate to this, but the ideal thing that you should be doing when building a sales process is taking a holistic approach and trying to think about the reality of the type of sales that you're having. Are you selling a service? Are you selling a product? Are you selling abroad? Is this important to have many points of contact within the company that you're working with? And everything that you're building up within your lead management tool, hopefully would be noCRM, has to be able to be tested as often as possible, reviewed and evaluated with your team as to make sure that you're actually growing in the usage of the tool that you have. What do you think about this,
Yeah.
Jason?
Well, what I think is that we're going to go through several steps right now how to build an effective sales process, right? So
Mm-hmm.
every step that you take from defining your ideal target to your messaging to the tools that you use have to be, let's say, in harmony with each other. So every step will count. And again, always remember to, we give you advice, but also see how it adapts to your business as well. So
Absolutely.
again, you don't have a closing problem. Perhaps your closing rate is bad, but you usually might have a different problem. They might be either you're targeting, let's say, you're not defining your target so well, you're not getting in the correct industry that you need to, you're not qualifying, let's say, as effectively as you should, because perhaps you're not talking to the decision maker, perhaps your product doesn't make sense for them at the stage they're in, and also perhaps you haven't understood their need as well. Some people, let's say, want to do outbound marketing, but they want to do an email marketing, but perhaps their ideal target is more of a phone person. They prefer to talk. So in that sense, you'll have to see which type of information you prefer. You need to read what type of information you need to reach out to them in the most effective way.
That's right. And what can you tell us about building a correct target market, Jason, in your experience?
Well, in my experience, let's look at that now in the sales process as well. Okay, so ideally, as we've been mentioning before, you have to build your ideal company profile. So, who are you targeting? Where will your product best be used to optimize sales for a company? So, what ideal, let's say, criteria you can take into consideration? What's a company headcount, meaning how many people work in that company, meaning the size of the company. Is it a small company? Is it a medium-sized company? Is it a big enterprise? So also what industry or sector they belong to. Is it a software company? Is it a manufacturing company? Is
Mm.
it a cosmetics company? It depends what industry they're in as well. Also, their location. Where are they located? Um, if you're targeting, for example, Europe as a region, does it make sense? Or is it better to start, let's say, for a specific region, Southern Europe, or a specific country like France? And
Yeah.
also their turnover, that's how much revenue they are producing as a company a year. Do they need to increase their revenue? Are they having a dip in their revenue on an annual basis? And then,
Yeah.
of course, any other criteria that allows you to define verticals, as we mentioned here. Are they clients of your competitors? Have they recently raised funds? Are they going to any trade shows that you're aware of? Or are they doing any webinars like we're doing right now?
Here, Jason, I'd like to ask something to our audience if they'd like to share. Are we missing any criteria when defining your ICP? Do you have any thoughts on this? Please share in the comments on the chat. And also, I just wanted to give them a quick reminder that we are going to accept questions just at the end of our presentation, right?
Yes, we'll have a Q&A right after we finish going through this and we show you how our tools work and complement each other.
Yeah. So if you go to the next slide, oh yeah, I love this topic. Can you tell us about how to define our buyer persona? What is the best way to go about this process?
So define your buyer persona is who is the person who will make the decision, who will be the person that is leading the team that will use your tool, or who will be the person that will buy the product for their company. If it's a B2B company, it's at a B2C company. So you can start off by saying, well, the job. Normally, you will need a managing director, you will need a head of procurement, or you will need a head of human resources if your target is recruiters, for example, or talent acquisition specialists. So just define the job. Then also, not only the job, but also the seniority of the person. Not seniority doesn't only infer their age, but how much time they've been working in their specific industry or how much time they've been in their company. Also, it's always great to get their LinkedIn, see their, let's say, employment history, see
Mm-hmm.
if they've changed. If a person comes from, let's say, and the advertisement background, or they come from a marketing background, but now they work in sales, then perhaps it's a person that will be more open to, let's say, implementing new tools. Or if it's a person that is only focusing on inbound sales, is starting an outbound stream in their company. So it's people that are looking for new tools as well. Also, it's important to know what tools they use, as we read here, their needs, their goals, and also the personality traits. When you talk to your client, you get to see the person immediately, who they are, and try
Mm-hmm.
to relate to them, listen to them, understand what are their specific needs.
Yeah, I think that also comes hand in hand when you're learning how to qualify, right? Your clients. When you understand your buyer persona, it definitely filters through the qualifying process as well. So Jason, if we could go to the next slide, please.
So right now we're going to go through Kaspr and see how is best for you to enrich a contact. You will have, using Kaspr, access to around 91% of emails that are available for LinkedIn profiles. And of those, 40% of those profiles will have phone numbers. We work as a Chrome extension that lives over LinkedIn, and you can use all of LinkedIn's native filters to define your ideal target, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so now it would be defining your ICP. So I just went ahead and I did a quick search beforehand, and so we can see how that looks. So
Awesome.
I opened Sales Navigator, right? And in this case, I'm looking for sales directors, sales managers, director of business and business development. Then as companies, I'm going to target, let's say, SMB, small to medium sized businesses. So from 1 to 10, from 11 to 50, and from 51 to 200. If you go higher, then you're targeting a different bracket in company size, right? But in this case,
Mm-hmm.
it's that I'm going to target the United Kingdom as a country. And then I'm interested in people that are working in the software industry. And then just to add a few more, I want their profiles to be in English because perhaps my product is market ready, but only in English speaking markets.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also add, let's say, seniority level into the mix. So yes, you want directors, you want partners, you want managers, anybody that can be a decision maker. Okay.
Okay. Can you exclude criteria? Is that something useful that you found when trying to do the searches?
Yes. Thank you for your question, Andrea. Definitely. For example, if I'm targeting a specific company, but I want to exclude either competitors or, let's say, partner companies, let's say
Mm-hmm.
you can come to current company and choose. I'm going to choose our holding company, which is Cognizant, and I want to source people that are not working for Cognizant. So in that case, everybody that's working for this specific company will not be included within my search list. And as we can see, we went from several thousands to 2,000 people. Here's the result right here. Okay. So right before I show you how to do a bulk search, I'm just going to show you how Kaspr works really quick. I went ahead and I opened a few interesting profiles here. So in this case, let's say I have Andrew Brown, right?
Nice.
We have Paul Hartman, let's say. So I have different profiles here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say Adrian Sweeney, he's sales director at Planet IT. And if I open our Kaspr widget that appears here as the Chrome extension here towards your right, it has a number 5. It just means we have 5 data points on him. We have preview of his emails and a preview of his phone number. You click there and the information will be displayed, okay? The same goes for our different targets that we also opened here. We have George Kopanis. Companias, yes, like that. He was sales director at Flexiton. You go ahead, you have previews of two mobile phone numbers and a landline and his Flexiton email. You go ahead, you spend your credit, and then you get access to his contact information.
Wow.
But as a prospecting tool, if you want to do in bulk, you can also do it this way. So in this sense, we already defined, let's say, our ideal target right here. And we can click here on our sales tab, and I can put, okay, let's say sales director senior UK, and I'm going to put a noCRM webinar just for me as a reference. And I will say, okay, out of these 2,000 people, I want 50. And then I'll choose a workflow. So in this workflow, I have already created a workflow for noCRM. And this workflow will look for both emails and phone numbers. Okay.
Wow.
I can also drop them in a list here on Kaspr. So I will just drop them on my UK list and I will launch my automation. So what I did there was, instead of going through 50 profiles one by one, I did 50 profiles in one click, sourcing both their emails and phone numbers. These contacts will be stored on my Kaspr dashboard, but I have also made them flow directly to the noCRM platform through Zapier. So I'm going to show you how that looks in a bit. If I
Yes.
click here on Go to Automation, here's my workflow, new prospect, noCRM. The criteria I had chosen for them is email and mobile. And then I created an integration directly to Zapier that will flow all my leads onto noCRM. It looks like this. If I open Zapier, this is how it is. I add a lead. This is the event that it creates, and then it will push all the data to noCRM. And this is how it will look on the list.
On our prospecting list. Awesome.
Yes. So in this case, it flowed until this point because it's probably still doing the sourcing of contacts.
Mhm.
In this case, we have sourced 20 until that moment. That only means that we did 50, but we're
Mhm.
adding everybody that has to the both sets of data, both email and phone number,
Wow.
straight to your
So
CRM.
we're enriching this list, right? By grabbing the
Yes.
phone number and the email specifically, and also if some of them have the LinkedIn direct link, I see there that you can add it as well. This is where I jump in because I love this part. Jason, thank you so much for explaining the SAP. I just wanted to quickly mention that through Zapier, you can connect Kaspr to noCRM. You can either enrich prospecting lists, such as we did here for our webinar, but you can also create leads automatically. And this is where I want to emphasize the work of being able to qualify and prospect correctly. Jason, thank you so much. Let me share my screen and Google Chrome tab. There we go. So we were checking out our Kaspr webinar list. And as you can see here, I have all of this information. And the way that I like to work it with noCRM is filter first by the rows that I have yet to qualify. And then we open something that we call the prospect browser that's available in the expert and the Dream Team edition on noCRM. And here it's where everything that Jason and I have been discussing about throughout this webinar comes in handy. So in noCRM, you want to help your team to understand the needs of their client. This is crucial because once you understand the needs of your client, the way that you are presenting the proposals for the clients becomes more interesting. Your sales team is going to grow. They're going to develop skills in understanding the needs that your client has. And this is where I'd like to share the tool that you're seeing right now on my screen. We have the sales script, which is a free tool that's available on notcrm.io, but you can also add it and use it on our website, on our platform as well. And as you can see, it's having these little questions, but also you have this, I like to call them like your cheat sheet on noCRM. So once you understand the type of buyer persona that you have, you want to qualify the contacts that you acquired from Kaspr, and you want to understand, okay, how is this person gonna benefit from whatever product of service or service that I offer? So you can create any type of questions that you think is going to be relevant for the type of service or product that you have. And just as I have here, for example, let's say, Jason, I'm going to qualify you. So you need a tool to manage the leads from Kaspr. So you already have a lead source. Now you need to manage those leads, right? Which are your pain points? Okay, having the information in just one place. Um, all of this is going to help me send a better proposal once I start working with you as a lead. So once I determine that this is actually a good fit for a company, I can register this information in my lead, in my prospect, sorry, and then I can go ahead and convert it, and then I can start working directly with them. But something that I wanted to point out in the prospecting section, you can also have different types of activities. That it's not one size fits all within noCRM. You can accommodate this to the things that you see within your sales process. The important thing is nurturing your client. So when you have a sales script that is really complete, when you do understand the needs of your buyer persona, when you understand their journey in the sales process, when the salespeople sees this script is going to remember, oh, well, Fraser did mention that they had a specific need on better training their salespeople in qualifying, or maybe he, as a manager, wanted to be able to collaborate with the people that work for them, and they needed a tool that was going to help them do that. And noCRM can help you understand how your team is working with the leads that you have. Now, Jason, I don't know if we have any more slides on our presentation. Just to close things up here.
Yeah,
I
sure. I'm gonna share the screen again.
thank you. Yes.
So thank you
And then
for showing us the tool, Andrea. I just wanted to ask you real quick. So, in terms of scripts, I guess you have scripts for every different scenario and what different sales step you are with each prospect.
yes, let's go to slide number 23 and let me show you what I'm talking about. So within noCRM, we have some predetermined scripts that you can take as a jumping point when you're building a qualification stage within your sales process. But also, you're able to develop your own script according to the needs that you have. So, I have many clients that are actually marketers and they are on the phone all the time. They're doing phone calls, they're trying to understand if they're speaking to the right person because your time is precious. As we have here on this slide, your time is precious and you want to identify it as soon as possible if you're talking to the decision maker. So your sales script should include, okay, who am I speaking with? What is your position in the company? What is the decision making process? Are you part of that decision making process? What is the best point of contact to push that sales further? Imagine if I were to call someone on Kaspr and I didn't get you, Jason, on the phone, but I got the intern. Well, I'll be wasting my time, quite frankly, because I think we can have a perfect, amiable chat, but he's not going to be the person that's actually making the decision on acquiring a tool like noCRM, right? And you're not going to be able to tell me, well, the intern's not going to be able to tell me, with all due respect to interns, whether you have a budget for the project that you are implementing, or if you have an identified need. The managers are able to oversee this process throughout noCRM and to oversee that in their sales process as well. So if you go to the next slide, I think I have a
Yeah.
picture of how you can build your sales script, if I'm not mistaken.
I
Yeah.
will go to the next slide. I just
Yeah.
want to say a little something to complement what you just said,
Mm-hmm.
Andrea, and that definitely with respect to all interns, we've all been there. However, with Kaspr, and this is not to plug our own tool, but this is a presentation after all. We specialize in getting mobile phone numbers and direct lines, so you will always reach the correct person.
That's right. Oh yeah, especially if you're understanding how to build that buyer persona, right, Jason? Because
Yes.
you want to reach out to directors. You don't want to reach out to to interns. So essentially, this is the basic lead quantification tool that we have. As you can see, you can even add a timer if that's something that's interesting for you. This is a free tool. Once again, I'm not trying to pitch you this specifically, but people love our sales script. Prospects love our sales script because you're trying to have a conversation with your client. When you have a sales script, when you do understand the needs of your prospects, you're not getting on the phone like those annoying phone calls and you're just trying to sell whatever person's is answering at the other end. You're trying to build rapport with this person. You're trying to build relationships. There's still, I don't know, Jason, if you agree with me, even though we work for the tech companies that try to help you automatize the processes, there's still a very human side to sales and something that people are trying to overlook a little bit. But it's still pretty important when the person on the other side of the phone, after you hung up, sends you an email and says, "Hey, you mentioned this during our call. Is this something that might be relevant for you? I'm going to share some more information. I'm going to, uh, yeah,
It's completely relevant, Andrea, and you're completely right. Because one thing about creating an effective sales process is having, let's say, a template that your team can use as a launch pad to really, shine as a salesperson. You know, like it's not making your sales reps or your business development team into robots, because if they work with you, it's because you like their style, or it's because they have a great way of relating to people. They have that human touch. So when you build an effective sales process, your team can really rely on that to push sales forward and generate revenue for your company.
that's right. So if you jump to, let's jump to the next one because I think we're already connecting and we are running out of time. But essentially,
Yes.
sales is not a fight, right, Jason? When you're closing on the first call and you're trying to push and give everything that you have on that sales on that first call, there might be something fishy there because maybe you didn't even understood the need of the client that was on the other end of the line. And that's why having a good qualifying sales script immediately connects to having a sales process that makes sense, steps that you can define, things that you can look back to as a manager, and that you can measure for improvement. Remember, you're working with people. People can often make mistakes, but the ideal tool is going to help you look back on those mistakes and just build further on the things that you're doing. So you're having the qualification call, then you're having your first rendezvous, your second meeting, you do an offer, and by the time you reach to the offer, you have added value to the contact that you made with this person. And if there's anything, if anyone is going to take away something from our interaction today, Jason, I would say is that um, you want to take, you want to see that tool useful, and you want to take value of the conversations that you're having with your customer. I think that's the most important thing that we can nowadays talk in sales, specifically when it comes to SaaS sales. And last but not least, if we go to slide 28 before we do our summary and open up for questions, when you have the when you 28 where you see the status loop, there you go. So the next one,
Yeah,
when you
Andre.
have when you have a tool like noCRM, uh, and you are managing a lead, it's important to plan the steps and the actions that you're going to take with that client. Um, so after you have finished a task with a client, let's say that Jason and I just finished a meeting, my next step personally as a person would be to send you an email and thank you for your time, and thank you for the time of the people that are listening to me today. I don't know, Jason, if you have any tips for this specific way of managing the sales process.
No,
Um,
you always need. You always have to have uh, the your to-do list. What are you going to do next? And I think it's a perfect segue for us to open up the Q&A for
Great.
everybody. Don't you agree, Andrea? Because we're almost there out of time. So, guys, thank you for being present in our presentation, and we will open up the Q&A. So please feel free to use the internal chat. We can go by the questions each one by one as they came along. And yeah.
Yeah, Jason, let me help you out by reading them out loud because I think
Hmm.
most of them are addressed to you personally. So, hi there. I'm a noCRM user and I have a question about approaching the buyer persona. There are some sectors that are in the heavy industry or engineering fields, and selling or supply them with a product can be quite impersonal. They need a component, they order you from you, and that's it. How can you approach these types of companies as a more at a more personal level to gain more in the customers from this field?
I need to reread that. How can you approach these types of companies at a more personal level to get well? Again, as I mentioned before, there's industries and then there's companies. Some of these companies, you just have to see, are they, let's say, people that are more on the field? If they're more engineering and they're more in construction, I think that they will be, let's say, less prone to answer a phone call if they are on site. So you have to know where this person remains most of his working moment. Is he in the office? Is he on site? Oh, should I call him? Should I send him an email? Should I send an email first, then call? So the way that you can approach, and we live in an era where email revolutionized, let's say, the way that we work, but
Mm-hmm.
now we're going back to where the phone call is really the way that you're closing most of the deals nowadays. Some people will read your email, they don't have time to answer it. So in that case, if you don't get an answer by your email, I would say, make a quick phone call, tell them, hey, try to set up a meeting with them on the phone real quick if they don't have time. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that human touch, that interaction with the phone, not a template that feels kind of like, okay, it's just another template, even if you spent an hour writing it.
Mm-hmm.
The phone call will always be, let's say, a good way to go.
I agree, totally agree. Now, James has another question for you. Can Kaspr just search individual businesses for current job titles and contact information?
Can Casper just search individual businesses for current job titles, contact information? So
Mm-hmm.
Casper works as a Chrome extension that lives over LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to use all of LinkedIn's native filters to really get granular and search for your ideal target, right? You can go into a company, let's say, just as an example, you go to Amazon and you see the employee list. And once you see the employee list, you're able to search and say, okay, I want only directors that are based in France. And then you can look for them there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, you can look for individuals and businesses, but it has to be using LinkedIn as a launch pad. This
Okay.
being said, I want to clarify that we are not a scraping tool. So we don't source information directly from LinkedIn, right? We use LinkedIn as a launch pad to identify the target. And then from there, we pull from different data sources to provide you with the contact information.
Wow. That's why you mentioned that it's enriching the information that's already available, right?
Exactly. Um, well, I think that is a great segue for the second question. How big is Casper's database regarding Central European markets? Okay, so I'm just going to respond to this one real quick. However, if you guys, let's say, have more specific questions, and because this is more of a sales prospecting webinar that we're doing in conjunction, both us, Kaspr, with noCRM. So I don't want to take time away from Andrea, but this is my meeting link. You can use it to book a time with me directly on my calendar, and we can go through all of your specific questions. This being said, Nicolette, just to answer you, how big is Casper database regarding Central European market? We are a French company. We're founded in 2018, so our stronghold is definitely Europe, Central, Eastern, Western Europe, and also when I
Mhm.
say Europe, I'm also including the UK. And we are currently expanding our markets into the US, into Latin American markets as well. If you want, let's say, specific numbers that we have in regions, that is something that we can cover in a session if you book a session with me.
Yes. Thank you so much. I actually also included my link if anyone wants to meet with me as well. Jason, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes. Well, and William, I saw your question. What is the cost for using Kaspr? Again, you can book a session with me, and we can go over cost there as well.
Awesome.
Well,
Yes.
Tanya is writing a message. Ray's writing. Thank you. I think we'll book a session. noCRM. It's a fantastic tool and great for our business and helped us need it. Okay, that's great, James. But thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending our session. And hope to hear back from a lot of you very soon. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Ciao,
You have a
ciao.
great day. Bye bye.